Changing the front brakes on the Ram 1500 Hemi. Fairly easy. Get you something to hang your caliper with. Remove the caliper bolts. Loosen them first. That will be these little 13mm dudes right here. And then take a screwdriver or a pry bar, stick it in here and just pry back gently, pushing on here against either the pad or the rotor. That'll give you some, that'll make it move easy. Then go ahead and remove the bolts all the way. Take your caliper off, hang it up. Then you'll need to squeeze these in, and there's a couple ways to do this. Unless you have a double piston one of these, you're going to need to use the brake pad, and you can use this. You can use one of these ratcheting ones, or you can use this in the center of the pad to squeeze them both back at the same time. And now you're displacing fluid through small holes and small lines, so you need to keep consistent pressure on it, but don't try to overdo it. If it's not moving, there's something wrong. If they don't squeeze in at all, then you might have a bad caliper. If you have trouble getting them back in and you think you might have a frozen caliper, crack that bleeder and then try and squeeze them again. If only a little bit trickles out and you still can't squeeze it and it won't move, then you have a bad caliper. If when you open this and it squeezes back in fine, but it won't squeeze in with this closed, then this line here is bad. Once you got these squeezed back in, that's good. You can toss the old pad, take this out of the way. Then your caliper bracket here will be held on by these, which are 21mm. Remove those, take the bracket off. If you have one of these on here, these are held on by these little clips, tighten down to these studs. Careful not to over tighten these studs, because if this starts spinning, then that's pretty much done, because on the back side it's just flat. So don't over torque that. If that spins, then this piece is pretty much done. Wipe that down, clean that off, take it off so you can get the brake pad in. Then in your brakes kit here, you're gonna have lube. Now, I never use these on brake pads because I don't want these to ever get on the brake material. So I don't put any here and I don't put any here at all. The best thing to do with these is to pull these all the way out, clean them off, and then re-lube it with these. Just lube the pins only. These brake pads, unless you actually hear a noise, do not need to be lubed. I do not lube these, and I don't get any noise out of them at all. They should not make any noise. And then also, if you got that one with the hardware, you'll have these. And where these goes is very simple. These are your wear tabs that squeak when you run out of, and this is where they go. They just snap on the end of the pad like that. Once you've cleaned this off and lubed these, give these a good rub here. If you're replacing your rotor, this will be free. It'll just come off like that. Make sure your hub is nice and clean so that your wheels always sit on there well. Go ahead and install your new rotor, and then put this back on. Then get your pads, snap these onto your pads, snap your pads into this with the rotor and the bracket back on. Go ahead and slap your pads into the brackets and make sure that everything is good. Make sure that it sits in these grooves nice and not super tight. You don't want it to where it can't move, but it should be flexing on these. And then you can go ahead and slap your rotor back over top of it. Real easy on these trucks, nothing fancy. Alright, stay safe. Make sure your bolts are tight. If you got any questions, comment, and leave your comments, questions, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.